Hello, Cygax here, and this is a first look at the Ranger skills and mastery tree in the game Chrono Odyssey. Personally, I don't like the bow too much, but I have been trying to play it a little bit more. Bow, it has this unique charge system from aim shot, and you can read it there. You get different effects based on the equipped arrows, based on how long you hold it and everything. It is a very strong thing to do on your right click. And then we're gonna go over every single ability in all these trees quickly. So first we got Radiant Arrow, Shining Arrow, deals damage, costs vigor. Okay, increases the damage when attacking a stunned arrow, but we don't have a stun yet, increasing the range. This is a pretty solid class, or solid ability, I would say. I personally haven't used it too much. I've been using Charge Shot for the stun. Then you could probably follow up with the Radiant Arrow. Increases damage. So if they're stunned, if you hit them, stun them, right? They're taking more damage if they're at max HP, and then you finish them off with the Radiant Arrow. Seems like a really solid mobbing ability. And then this makes it penetrate. That's really strong. Fan shot 1, again, this is just AoE mobbing ability. Increases knockback, recovers vigor. Vigor is a really important resource for this class. Your auto attacks take it on xbow, and you're just gonna want that vigor to move back up, so that way you're not sitting there with nothing to do besides dodge. Then finally, so this increases the damage of your next active shot by 80%. So that's pretty strong. Using this at the end of a combo and then comboing with charge shot followed by radiant arrow seems pretty strong on a fresh mob. Shoots an arrow while jumping backwards. Again, for kiting, this seems pretty much key. On landing a retreating shot, all bow skills. Okay, so this would be like if you have nothing left. Replenishes all arrows. Again, we were talking about the special move, and I can show you that in game real quick. So you see, we have the yellow. They're kind of hard to see. The yellow arrows. Upon releasing a shot, we lose those yellow arrows. So they would be replenished there by that ability. And then we'd be able to continue with it. So this would be overall pretty good. I like that. Increases the damage of aim shots. I don't know how good this is because, again, then you have to play with the arrow mechanic too much. Increases base attacks crit rate. Okay, so this is very, very good. You're going to want those basic attacks to crit. You're going to want all your arrows to crit. And you're always going to be basic attacking. So tactical refill, this was the arrow mechanic that we're talking about. This is, if you are using lots of aim shots, you're definitely going to want this. 20 stamina upon attacking an enemy within 5 meters. So if an enemy hits you close up, you're going to want to use this to protect yourself. Upon switching to the bow, increase attack by 30% of dexterity for 10 seconds. So this seems really good. Again, this class does have a main stat of dex. You're going to use it. Increase the blast damage of explosive arrows by 30%. When fully charged, impact arrow inflicts stun. I think that this ability might be a bad translation because it really doesn't say anything about impact arrow. Reduces threat gained by 10% when attacking enemies. Okay, so this would be something you use in parties. So this is a really good, just increasing crit rate, which will have nice synergy with this, making this class have like a passive, like huge crit buff, which is going to be very, very nice. Double tap, consumes arrow to fire 2 consecutive shots. Again, with tactical refill, that has a good synergy there. Upon landing, double, it recovers 50 vigor and inflicts knockback. That's strong here. Double tap 3. Okay, so then this will switch the debuff type applied to the target upon landing double tap. So if you have poison stacks on them, it'll switch them to chill. Oh, this is very nice, and this has very good synergy with the xbow then. And then you could probably use double tap twice, right? Or you could use a different type of arrow to inflict your own type of stacks. This is very, very strong. Now, if we look at curved shot, this seems very, very strong. Replenishes 2 arrows upon landing. I'm not sure curved shot. This seems like more of an AoE group grinding ability. I don't know how often that would use it. I think I'd use double shot over it. I feel like bow really lends itself to, like, if you're gonna do AoE, maybe do these and maybe throw this in. But there are better AoE builds with Ranger than these. So then Swift Shot gains vigor, perfect. Swift Shot 3. And then this works again with like a condition build, which I really like. Arrow Shower, again, using this in conjunction with Fan Shot, this would probably be pretty strong. Some of the things that you have to watch out for are different abilities that lock you in place in this game. So the next weapon is Crossbow, which is my personal favorite, as I said before. So Crossbow has some really good ups and downs of it. It's a very fast weapon, but it does burn through vigor. Its special move being kind of like a dodge. Costs a lot of stamina though, but you're still able to use it to dodge quite quickly. Now, in my experience, since I have played this class a lot, there are really 2 very, very strong builds that you can go here. One being the poison build, which is very, very good while leveling up. But the other one, once you get to past a certain build where you're going for more single target damage and you want to just hit a mob really hard, then you want to move off poison. Poison really does lend itself to killing bosses when you're under leveled, because then you can just poison them up and then you can kite them around and you don't have to worry about much. While the other one, you have to know the mechanics a little bit more and focus on it. So I tend to go for more of a poison build because it is easier to play, which would be this tree. But we're going to go start with the first tree here. Precise Shot, again, this is very, very good. Increases crit rate, reduces vigor cost, and vigor is basically your bottleneck on this class. And then reducing threat. I haven't really had to use this because we haven't partied up a lot in our tests. But when we have, I haven't had the need to use it because our tank was actually much more geared than me. But at the same time, there are other people who I have played with that definitely needed to use this and probably weren't. Next shot, Thrill the Hunt. So Thrill the Hunt, one thing you need to know about the skills, it is amazing. You definitely want this in any build for Crossbow because it is so strong. Popping this and then going into poison attacks or whatever you're doing, you need to get to the point where you can use this ability, and then buffing it even more if at all possible as you level up. I probably wouldn't use this unless I'm in a group, but again, that does keep me alive by reducing my threat. Rapid fire stance, this is not something that you want to use unless you're in a group. In a group, I could see it being good. This really locks you in place. Moving on, butterfly dance. I haven't really used this too much, but towards end game, it does pick up in the damage it's doing because your crit's so high and you're always critting, and it comes up repeatedly, and it's just very, very strong. Definitely consider this. So there's a few different passives that are good, and a lot of them are like pretty much any of these are just like pretty solid. So getting precision upon landing a basic attack, you're always basic attacking. You always get that crit rate up, and that pairs very, very well with Thrill the Hunt. So these two will feed off of each other, one increasing your attack, the other one increasing your crit rate. Heated battle, when you crit, increases attack. So these two are feeding off of each other, and then basic attacks going up, like a lot of your attacks. You're going to be auto attacking a lot on this class. So it's very, very strong. That after performing a roll, increase damage by 30%. So this is a pretty solid thing. One thing to note is that because I prefer to use this over the roll, I tend to not take this. But this, if you were using the roll more rather than being lazy and using this, this is a very, very strong skill. invigoration if you're swapping weapons, which I tend to do less than I should. This is definitely a solid choice. This would be my choice. Instead of going this one, I'd probably go over here because I do favor the damage over time build. Then this grants precision while using trick shot. Pretty solid. Again, this is trick shot. This is so getting both of these going with this would be very strong. Increasing your movement speed whenever you land a basic attack. This is a no-brainer. It becomes very strong. After performing a dodge of the next trick shot and dodge roll, do not consume stamina. This would be very strong in conjunction with this, and it would give you a lot. But I think you'd have to focus on more stamina regeneration, on possible gear and stuff like that in order to make effective use out of this. Now, if we move over to Venom Shot, again, this is my favorite tree because I just like to set up my poisons on them and then just forget them and just auto attack and focus on mechanics. The Venom Shot just does Spirit Venom. It's very strong. You throw it on the boss and then they're poisoned. The next dodge does not consume stamina. So again, using that in conjunction with this. And then this this works well. So you'd probably want to use Venom Shot as your third ability, because you'd apply the first two first. So Spider Poison, very strong. Again, this is just a really good ability, but the big reason why you use this is because later on you will get the recovery of vigor, which is your bread and butter for this class, as all your attacks require vigor. So you apply this and then you'd follow up with probably this right here, or maybe you apply this and follow up with this, but we'll go over this. So Spider Poison 2 restores vigor, which is very good, and also reduces the enemy attack. This isn't so important, right? Like if you're getting hit in this game, you're dying. So this is really good. I like the root on this a lot, especially for AoE mob grinding. And then I follow up with this to make sure that they are immobilized, right? And then this, if you immobilize, if the enemies have more than two types of spirit venom, they're stunned for 3 seconds, which is very strong. So like you can either start with this, then follow up with Venom Shot, and then end with this, or you can do it in any really way. Tornado Shot, it's okay. It's not that great, but it does spin AoE here. It does damage based on each thing. So like maybe you could drop Thrill the Hunt, but I just would rather have the more attack than this. And each hit grants 30% chance to restore vigor. That's fine and all, but this is it's a decent move, but it's not as strong as some of the others, especially with the Thrill of the Hunt buff. Following up by Rapier. Rapier is probably one of my favorite melee weapons. With the benefits of Rapier, Rapier really does have it kind of feels a little clunky compared to xbow when you're playing it and you're like, why am I doing this? Here we go. Double thrust 1. It's just 2 attacks. Again, a lot of these are going to lock you into skill animations. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really used Rapier too much. I've used Crescent Slash and Mortal Thrust mainly for the super armor. But thrust and then reduces the vigor cost from 44 to 40. These abilities do a ton of damage. Like a ton of damage. Rapier is very strong. It's just not for me. Swings the Rapier, deals. Okay, so this is like a execute almost, right? Stuns the enemies with a mark applied. Okay. Increases the damage of swing slash. Okay, so this is, you basically execute them when they're low. Counterattack, this was a very strong skill that I have used thoroughly. Upon landing, basically it reduces the cooldown of counterattack, 8% HP upon landing a counterattack. This isn't the easiest to land. And again, that's why like I feel like the main weapon for Ranger is going to be xbow, and then whatever you choose to pair with it, right? Especially since this builds off of poison stacks, increases defense by 10%. So I haven't gotten down here yet with these, but I feel like some of these would be pretty solid to use along with the xbow. Being that like you can get basic attack damage up is always a good thing. Inflict poison upon landing an active skill, so this is good. I'd probably take Venom Blade and pair this with xbow here. 6 vigor upon landing a basic attack. That's part of the reason why you do use Rapier. If you're out of vigor from spamming crossbow attacks, you need something. On using a skill, 20% for 5 seconds. That's solid. On switching to Rapier, increases critical hit. And so this is one of the things. If you were using Rapier, you definitely want this. And then upon landing a critical hit with charging thrust is our special move. So on using charging thrust, we get a stun. And I've used this a lot actually. And it would be really, really solid with the stun on there. Charging thrust inflicts poison enemies that are 3 meters or further away. Oh, wow. I wonder what the maximum range on this is. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm having enough time to test it. Upon landing, a charging thrust reduces movement speed by 20% for 10 seconds. That's pretty strong. After using a dodge, the next dodge made within 5 seconds does not consume stamina. Switching weapons cancels this effect. So you'd pop this, dodge, and then probably swap weapons. Mortal Thrust, super armor is always good to have on a skill. It means can't be interrupted. For each poison stack applied, so if you land this and the enemy's covered in poison, it's going to do even more. Inflicts knockdown instead of knockback. That's probably solid. I'd really like that. Crescent Slash. So getting that attack buff up there with this ability is kind of hard, but it does pay off in the end. Restoring stamina is always a good thing, and reducing the vigor cost of Crescent Slash. I do like that. And then following dual stance increases crit rate in addition to attacking an enemy during dual stance has a 15% chance to inflict poison. So again, this is comboing really great with your bow. I mean, then again, any poisons you can inflict by Rapier, you can change them to a different status effect through the bow rather than the xbow. So I still think is supreme with this. All effects of dual stance are canceled while swapping weapons. This is good. So if you were a Rapier main, I would say go down this. Otherwise, I don't know if it's worth it. One of the things that really makes Rapier shine is its party play aspects, as you can give buffs to your allies. I think taking Blade Song, if you're this heavily invested in Rapier and playing in a group, is a no-brainer. Using this in combination with dual stance, if you're like attacking an enemy and you don't have to worry too much about aggro, this would be key here. You could line up the mob with poisons and then focus on dual stance, Blade Song, and Crescent Slash here, as well as following up with Mortal Thrust, and you'd have a whole bar of really great skills to work with. Well, that's all for this class. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe check out one of my other videos. Stay salty.